Well, I figured I'd show you guys our campsite here at Sun River. If you notice, we went with the smaller enclosure for the dogs. I loaded that large one into the boat and drove it home when we left Crescent Lake. That's just way more convenient when you're traveling, every couple of days or so. The large one's heavy and takes up a lot of room. It's great if you're going to be somewhere for a whole season. But that you can't beat the little playpen for babies, actually, for the puppies, if you're going to be on the move a lot more often. And there's our Heidi the hideout, I guess we could call it. And Angie's got her little gnomes here and a mushroom, and those light up at night. And then we've got the Corolla with us and the truck. Probably end up leaving the Corolla somewhere in Eugene at family's place while we venture on. So there's that. Well, it's been 5 years since we discovered the High Desert Museum in Bend, Oregon. And every time that we've been here for extended periods of time, we've never stopped and done it until just now. So we're finally doing it. Let's check it out. We haven't even entered the museum yet. You can come look at these trout for free. I believe they are rainbow trout. Right next to the museum sign. How cool is that? Look at all these. It's already starting good. This is way more elaborate of a teepee than I thought they constructed. I don't know if this is accurate. If it is, it's incredible. I thought it was canvas they usually used. Look at this. Pretty cool. Now we'll read some signs. There's a bunch of quilts, a tower of quilts in here. Here's the Native Americans of the Plateau exhibit. Here's the inside of a typical reservation house in the 60s. And I tell you what, it's kind of crazy. It brings back memories to before we had internet. This is a little bit before my time. Black and white TV there, but
things were harder.
Yeah, seeing all the
longer to do.
All the things that we used to entertain ourselves with magazines and newspaper and an old landline phone and a radio there.
Yeah.
There's a sewing machine, a kitchen with a cook stove. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool. Back in simpler times. An old-timey stagecoach. Very cool. Let's see if we can get a peek inside. Yeah, that is straight up and down with that backrest, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose if you were the only one in there, it'd be comfortable, but otherwise, it's a little tight.
Those seats.
Here we are at the Rim Rock Cafe at the High Desert Museum, and I've got a crispy chicken sandwich. It looks delicious. And Angie's got her black bean burger, and she got an oatmeal cookie. It's perfect because we'll walk all this off. The loop around the museum, I think, is about a mile or so. So, an opportunity to exercise these calories off. There's the turtles. I don't know if they're snapping turtles or what kind they are, but they're all hanging out together. They enjoy being together, I guess. You know, one thing they never really show in like Little House on the Prairie is the inside being decked out of a covered wagon. It's like the first RVs back in the day. There's a bed in the front. There's a little table, if it'll focus, and a kitchen right here. They have a similar thing at the Klamath County Museum, and I was always under the impression from the movies that it was just a wagon bed with a canvas top, and that was all that was really there, kind of like a truck bed. And she made an excellent observation. Can you imagine being in a covered wagon like that in August going across the plains or across the desert when it was smoking hot? They didn't have AC in those things. Well, just so you know, the Raptors of the Desert Sky exhibit is actually a show. And you have to be here by 11:15 in the morning, and it costs extra. Just so you know. An 1880s settler's cabin, and there was just a turkey around the corner. We'll catch up with it here in a bit. Let's check out inside.
Snow.
Oh, wow. How cool is that? This is all together. So the cooking stove, not too far from the bed, it'd keep you warm in the winter, I suppose. And then,
Candles up there.
yeah, look at that. That's the only
Herbs
source of
drying.
light. They used newspapers on the ceiling. I guess that was the original wallpaper. Uh-huh. And then there's a first aid kit. They had those back then too, I guess. Honey, where are you going? Oh, do you have to go to the bathroom?
No.
How'd you like to wake up on a cold winter's morn and head out to your outhouse, complete with a half crescent moon? Here's an 1820s fur trapper cabin. Yeah, it doesn't look that bad. This is equivalent to an RV, I guess. Here's an old 1800 style barn. And you know, it's kind of amazing that they look just about the same as a modern barn, although everything is made out of wood instead of steel. Pretty cool. Okay, so this is pretty elaborate. Here's a round pen for training horses, and they have woven it. That's pretty neat.
That is awesome.
Same,
Willow.
yeah, same basic principle as the ones we use today with steel fencing. But I bet that took a lot longer.
I think you're right. Look at that. There is the sprinkler system to keep cool.
That's pretty invaluable on a hot summer's day.
Well, they have it all throughout this park. How many miles is it?
I think this loop is like half-mile from one end of the visitor center to the other, but then all the little spurs make it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So this is the like 1880s homestead.
Yep.
And look, conveniently located, they have a fire hydrant even back then. This is a little one-room schoolhouse typical of the 1880s, or?
Yes. 1880s into probably about the 1930s, this would be fairly typical. But especially when people were first moving here, it would be a situation where there would only be a couple of students, maybe 4, because it's just so sparsely populated.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not necessarily worth it to build a dedicated schoolhouse.
Right.
So you'd reuse a space like this, like a carpentry shed.
Ah,
Something of a similar
very cool.
manner. Yes.
Thank you.
Of course.
Here's a little one-room schoolhouse typical of 1880 through 1930 in the high desert. Feeling a little bit like Charles Ingalls here. This is a 1900s, early 1900s mill. And if I'm not mistaken, I think, oh, okay, yeah. This is where the finished product comes out. There are slabs over there. And you know, I've walked around a few mills, modern day mills, and they are essentially the same with a lot more high-speed digital equipment. Check this red-tailed hawk out. I think we might have saved the best for last. This is the Birds of Prey exhibit. And it is cool.
Those are not actually horns, they are just feathers. But this guy is definitely a survivor and not
There's a golden eagle. How cool is that? I got this mine exhibit. Pretty neat. And they even show the, I think it's called placer mining? Gold mining in rivers. Angie, you want that?
Yes. It's pretty.
Look at this. Silver City. Old-timey town. Complete with saddle and harness shop. There's Wells Fargo, the old bank. Oh, look at that. Advances made on gold dust. That is pretty cool. Assayers? I'm not sure what that means. I'll have to look that one up. I'm trying to get a clue of what's in here. It almost looks like maybe they are... Oh, maybe an assayer is the person that takes the gold nuggets and turns it into something usable. I don't know. And of course, the High Loy Mercantile. Wow. And they were contractors too for labor, like a temp agency essentially. Back when they used to use the Chinese immigrants for labor. Probably not very fairly either, if I understand the history correctly. Doesn't that look comfy? You ready to lay down, honey?
Sure thing.
Man,
No mattresses.
they were a tougher breed back then.
Right?
Here's like a wagon camp in the early evening, right as sun sets. Pretty cool. They even have the sounds playing on the stereo in the background. So what'd you think about the High Desert Museum, honey?
Oh, I thought it was extraordinary. They have a lot of good, interesting little exhibits where they talk about various animals and locations and their culture, what they eat, and
Yeah, what was your favorite exhibit?
getting to see a live owl.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think I liked the mining exhibit the best.
that was pretty.
Yeah, that was kind of
too.
cool. And how was lunch?
Lunch was good. I had a bean burger and it was plant-based. It was good. And I got to have a Lotus energy drink that was plant-based. So
Nice.
yeah, it's been a good experience today. A lot of good walking and
I had a chicken sandwich with bacon and french fries and it was delicious. Our total came out to around 40 bucks, cheaper than the price of admission.
yeah,
And it was really delicious, like full service, basically restaurant. They came and cleaned up and everything. So that was 40 bucks with a
Yeah.
tip. $24 to get in the door at the High Desert Museum. And I think it's worth it. Would you say you agree?
thumbs up.
All right. The adventure continues.
Yes.